Welcome to the place where forgotten stories breathe and the darkness listens. This is Dawn of the Hollow, a realm just beyond reality, where every whisper hides a secret and every shadow watches you back. Here, the line between truth and terror fades. Each episode, we unearth the disturbing, the unexplained, the stories you won't hear anywhere else. So turn down the lights, put on your headphones, and whatever you do, don't look behind you. This is Dawn of the Hollow, and your story begins now. Story 1, The Weight of the Night. I'm a trucker out of Wyoming, been hauling freight for 20 years. The road's my sanctuary, the quiet, the endless stretch of it. But one night in Montana, on a frozen highway, that quiet turned into a nightmare I can't shake. It was February, 2 a.m., and I was hauling a sealed load, machine parts, according to the manifest, to a warehouse in Billings. The trailer felt too heavy, my rig groaning louder than usual. I figured it was just the cold, the metal contracting, until I heard a sound, a scratching, like nails dragging on metal, coming from the trailer. I killed the radio, my ears straining. It came again. Scratch, scratch, pause, scratch, like something was moving back there. My skin prickled, a cold sweat breaking out. The manifest said, "Sealed load, do not open." But that sound wasn't right. I pulled into a rest stop. The only light was a flickering sodium lamp buzzing in the freezing air. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out, the cold biting through my jacket. The trailer was locked tight, but the scratching was louder now, mixed with a low thump, like a heartbeat, trapped in steel. I'd heard stories, truckers running drugs, even people in sealed loads. I didn't want to believe it, but I couldn't ignore it. I grabbed a crowbar from my cab and broke the trailer's lock, the metal screeching like a scream. Inside, it was dark, crates stacked high, labeled machine parts, but the scratching came from the back, behind a wall of boxes. I shoved them aside, my flashlight shaking, the air thick with rust and sweat. There was a hidden compartment, a metal door bolted shut. The scratching was frantic now, desperate, like something or someone was fighting to get out. I forced the bolts open, my heart hammering. The door swung wide, and my flashlight caught eyes, dozens of them, staring from a cramped space. People, men, women, even a kid, bound and gagged, their clothes filthy, faces gaunt. One man, wrists bloody from struggling, looked at me and shook his head, like he was begging me to close the door. A voice sliced through the dark. "You shouldn't have done that, driver." I spun, crowbar raised. A man stood at the trailer's entrance, lean, in a black coat, holding a handgun. His face was calm, like this was routine. "Close the door," he said, stepping closer. "Drive, or I find your family. Easy choice." I thought of my daughter, my grandkids. My hands shook as I lowered the crowbar. "What is this?" I whispered. "Business," he said, smirking. "Keep it sealed. You walk away." I looked back at those eyes, pleading, terrified. I wanted to fight, but the gun was steady, his voice cold as the night. I closed the door, the bolts screaming as I locked it. The scratching started again, weaker, like they knew no one was coming. He rode with me, gun in his lap, to the warehouse. When we got there, he vanished into the dark. I delivered the load, hands numb, telling myself I had no choice. But when I checked the trailer later, it was empty. No crates, no people, just a bloody handprint on the wall, like someone had tried to claw their way out. I quit trucking that month. I never told anyone, not even my wife. I keep a police scanner, listening for missing persons, wondering if I'll hear about those eyes. But every night, I hear that, scratching in my dreams, louder and louder, until it's all I've got left. Story 2. The Hitchhiker's Game. I was driving through the back roads of West Virginia, my old pickup rattling along a moonlit highway. It was past midnight, and I just left my buddy's place after a long weekend of fishing. The radio was shot, so I was left with the hum of the engine and the patter of rain on the windshield. The road was deserted, the kind of empty that makes you feel like the last man on earth. That's when I saw him. A guy standing on the shoulder, caught in my headlights. He looked about my age, mid-30s, in a soaked flannel jacket, thumb out, his face pale and sharp under the light. He was smiling, a tight, crooked grin that didn't match the misery of standing in the rain. My gut told me to keep driving, but he looked rough, like he'd been out there a while. I pulled over, gravel crunching under my tires. "You need a ride?" I called, cracking the passenger window. He nodded, his grin widening. "Just to the next town. I won't be no trouble," he said, his voice smooth, with a drawl I couldn't place. I unlocked the door and he climbed in, dripping water onto the seat. A smell hit me, wet clothes, mixed with something sharp, like copper or old pennies. I figured it was just the rain and pulled back onto the road. "You got a name?" I asked, glancing at him. "Call me Tom," he said, his eyes fixed on the dashboard, lingering on my phone in the console. "Nice truck," he uttered. We drove in silence, the rain drumming harder. His hands were restless, fidgeting with the zipper on his jacket, his nails short and jagged. I tried to make small talk, but his answers were short, vague. "Where you coming from?" I asked. "Somewhere," he said, his grin twitching. "Don't matter," he followed up with. A chill crept up my spine, but I shook it off. He was just a drifter, right? Then I noticed my phone wasn't in the console anymore. It was in his lap, his fingers brushing the screen. "Hey, that's mine," I said, sharper than I meant. He didn't look up. "You got a lot of pictures here? Family, buddies, nice house." His grin stretched wider, showing teeth that looked too sharp in the dim light. My stomach twisted. "How do you know about my house?" I asked, my voice low. I had no pictures of my house on my phone. He tilted his head like he was sizing me up. "You told me, don't you remember?" I hadn't. My hands tightened on the wheel, the road feeling darker, narrower. "Give me my phone," I said, trying to keep calm. He chuckled, a low, grating sound. "You're not careful. All these contacts. Your buddy's place on Cedar Road. Nice little cabin." My blood ran cold. I'd never mentioned my buddy or his cabin. My foot eased off the gas, the truck slowing. "What do you want?" I whispered. He leaned closer, his breath sour against my ear. "Keep driving. We're playing a game. You drive, I talk. Stop, and I send a little message to everyone in here." He tapped my phone, his eyes glinting, grin gone. I kept driving, my mind racing. He started humming, a low, tuneless drone, scrolling through my phone like it was his. Every time I tried to speak, he cut me off, reciting things about my life, my job at the warehouse, the bar I hit after work, my mom's new address, things no stranger could know. "Turn here," he said, pointing to a dirt road snaking into the woods. I hesitated, and he held up my phone, a message open. Driving tonight. Here's where I am, with my location pinned in the middle of nowhere. My heart pounded. I turned, the truck lurching on the muddy road, trees closing in like walls. We drove, for what felt like hours, deeper into the hills. He kept talking, describing my life in sickening detail. My apartment layout, my ex's car, the fishing spot I'd just left. My hands shook on the wheel, but I kept them steady, trying to think of a way out. Finally, he pointed to a clearing, just a patch of mud and shadows. "Stop here," he said. I did, my hands trembling. He slid out, tossing my phone onto the seat. "You're a good driver," he said, his voice dripping with mockery. "Be careful who you pick up next time." He vanished into the trees, his silhouette swallowed by the dark. I floored it out of there, my phone buzzing as I hit the highway. The screen showed a draft message, unsent, with my location and a photo of me, taken from inside the truck. I deleted it, hands shaking, and swore I'd never drive that road again. But sometimes, late at night, my phone pings with a text from an unknown number. "Keep driving, Tom." Story 3. I took the wrong Uber. I was exhausted, stumbling out of the library at 1 a.m. after grinding through finals. I'm a junior at Georgia State, living in Atlanta, and all I wanted was my bed. My phone was at 10%, but I got an Uber booked, a silver Prius, driver with a 4.9-star rating. Safe enough, I thought. The car pulled up, headlights cutting through the fog. I slid into the back seat muttering, "Thanks for the ride." The driver was older, balding, with thick glasses and a nervous smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Long night?" he asked, his voice high and twitchy, like he was forcing it. "Yeah," I said, sinking into the seat. The car smelled like cheap air freshener, cloying, like it was covering something sour. I pulled out my phone to check the route, but I caught the driver glancing at me in the rear view mirror, his eyes flicking away when I looked up. "You're my last ride," he said, out of nowhere. "Good thing. Been a weird night." I nodded, half listening, but something felt off. I checked the Uber app again, and my stomach dropped. The driver's profile picture was different. It showed a younger guy, bearded, not this balding man with shaky hands. "Hey," I said, my voice tight. "Your picture doesn't match the app." He laughed, a sharp barking sound. "Old photo. Keep meaning to update it." But his hands were trembling on the wheel, and he missed the turn to my apartment, heading toward the industrial district, where the streets get quiet and the lights dim. "You missed my street," I said, leaning forward. "Can you turn around?" He didn't answer. His eyes hit the mirror again, lingering this time, a glint in them that made my skin crawl. "No rush, right?" he said, his voice lower, almost taunting. My pulse kicked up. I tried the door handle. Locked. My phone was at 5%, and when I opened the app's emergency feature, the screen froze, glitching with static. Then I noticed a small camera on the dashboard. Not a standard dash cam, but a tiny lens pointed right at me, a red light blinking steady. "Are you recording me?" I asked, my voice sharp. "Just for safety," he said, too smooth, like he'd rehearsed it. I glanced at the front seat, a gym bag, half zipped, with something metal poking out. A knife? A wrench? My eyes darted back to the camera, that red light staring like an eye. "Stop the car," I said louder. "I want out." He slowed, pulling into a dark alley lined with boarded-up storefronts. You don't trust me, he said, almost whining. Everyone's so paranoid, glued to their phones, he uttered. My phone buzzed. It was at 3% battery. It was still frozen, the app stuck on a loading screen. He turned in his seat, his eyes locking onto mine. You're not in a hurry, are you? The way he said it felt like a threat, like he was savoring the moment. I grabbed my backpack, fumbling for anything to defend myself. My hand closed on a metal water bottle, heavy enough to hurt. Let me out, I said, my voice cracking. He laughed, muttering, You're all the same. Think you're smarter than me. His hand moved toward the gym bag, slow, deliberate. I swung the bottle, smashing it against his shoulder. He yelped, the car swerving as he grabbed at me. I yanked the door handle. It opened this time and threw myself out, hitting the pavement hard. Pain burned through my knee, but I scrambled up, running toward the lights of a main road, my breath tearing out in gasps. I flagged down a couple in a passing car, and they called the cops. When the police found the Prius, it was abandoned in a lot, the driver gone. The Uber account was wiped, like it never existed. My phone dropped in the alley, but was recovered later. Scrolling through my phone, I noticed it had a new app I hadn't downloaded, streaming my face to a feed labeled Passenger Number 47. I deleted it, but I still get emails from random accounts. Blank video links, no message, just a subject line, still watching. Sometimes I swear I see that red light blinking in the corner of my eye, even when I'm alone. You've been listening to Dawn of the Hollow, where fear takes form, and the shadows never stay quiet for long. If tonight's tale left you chilled, follow us for more haunted truths and terrifying fiction. Find Dawn of the Hollow on YouTube, TikTok, and wherever you stream your podcasts. Until next time, keep your lights low and your eyes open.